So the first coat went well. I got a nice little metallic dusting. That's how I do metallic paints, just kind of feather it on, layer it up. But then I started thinking, how did it come to be this color? I'm replicating a prop, not just what color is it, but why does it look that way? It's because these were removed and dipped in bronze and then pulled back out. Here's what it looked like before she started, because they show her boiling bronze. And then if you look at these drips, it looks like these were still dripping bronze as she placed it back into the cooler. These need a lot more paint, to the point that they are actually dripping because they were dipped in bronze, pulled out while they were still dripping, and put back into the cooler, which is of course what I'm going for. So I'm going to apply a lot more paint because that's what I want it to look like. But then I'm going through the reference library again, and I find these two slices of a picture. Look at the bottom. Do you see how it's kind of clogged in there? Now here's the problem. I think that looks awesome, but if you go back to the original pic from the movie, it's not clogged in like that. So that's kind of weird. Which one should I do? So now look at the components. Look at the one on the right. The top one starts at 12 o'clock. The one on the left, it starts at about 10:30. So that's different. Now look at the cake. The one on the right is kind of a bronze goldish color. The one on the left is kind of a silver color. Now look at the cake again. There's wires in the one on the right. Now this is actually before she dips it. This is her pulling the pack out. The one on the left, there's no wires. The one on the left is what I used when I designed my cake, which is why there's no wires on it. Now if we look at the actual movie footage, there's no wires on the components or on the cake, which is why I didn't put any. So I don't know exactly how I want to paint this. I'm gonna kind of do like an amalgam of like reference library versus what was actually in the movie versus what I think is kind of cool. And that's how I'm gonna do it. You do yours however you want. I just want you to see what the options are. So I'm gonna do that globby look. You don't have to. It's not the way it looks in the movie. I just think it looks really cool. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of hot glue. All right, here we go. I am loving this. That looks so cool. Movie accurate or not, I am loving the way this turned out. I have a little bit of this camouflage ultra flat black that I'm gonna use on the cake. I don't have much left, so I'm gonna try and get the top and then the sides, hopefully. So we'll start. I don't know how this cake's gonna end up looking. Adding to my list of why painting this is a nightmare, my camera just ran out of storage. So I could spend half an hour doing that. While that's drying, we're back at the workbench. I need to finish up the inside of the cooler before I paint it, in case I break it. Or something doesn't work and I have to remake this, whatever. So I went and I got these switches. I will put the link on Amazon. I got these light covers on GBfans.com. And I am going to drill out the holes to make sure that everything fits, and then I'll go ahead and start painting. Here are the holes to follow. Like I said, these are only 2 millimeters, so you're gonna have to drill them out. Let's find out what the correct drill bits are. Looking at the pack from the outside, the switches for the toggles are gonna be here and here. Here are the toggle switches. They are simple on-off 2-pin connectors. They were $7.99 for 10. I've used them before. They're really easy to use. On Amazon, it says it's a 6mm thread, which is 0.236 inches. I am going to start with a 7/32 drill bit, which is going to be a little smaller, just to make sure. Actually, I lied. I'm going to start with a 1/8 drill bit and just work my way up because safety first. I don't want to break it. So I just did the 7/32. And it's just kind of screwing in. That's what I like. Oh. So I have good news and bad news. If you can see, I'm realizing the switch takes up a lot more space than I realized, and it's already covering the hole for the lights. So I'm going to figure out what the size of the light holes need to be, and then reprint this, make it a little different. That's fine. I guess it's just one more prototype. I just got on GBfans, and these are actually called clip lights, so sorry if I've been saying them wrong. It says they're a 5mm hole, which is about 0.197 inch, so about 1/5. So I'm going to start with 1/8 and just work my way up. There we go. I figured out the sizes. The switch is going to be a 7/32 drill bit, and the lights are going to be 1/4. But clearly, I need to redesign this panel because there is not enough room for everything to fit the way I have it. Back to the drawing board. Another day in the garage. So I woke up this morning and my new cooler was finished printing. The only problem was this is where I ran out of filament. Can you believe that? Talk about a real kick in the flight suit. I definitely did this on purpose. It's caution striping. It's what I meant to do. I redid it. I made sure there's enough room in here so that you can screw the switches in. I made sure that you're going to be able to fit these in. So let me try that out, and then assuming everything works, I'm going to go ahead and paint. I also cut out a little bit of space so there's room for the switches to thread all the way through. The switches don't actually fit, so let me hit this real quick with the drill. So that was a 7/32 drill bit. There we go. That fit in perfect. I love that sound. More important, they are now moved far enough apart that you can screw both switches in. The pack I'm making, they use 3 green, 3 yellow, and 2 red, but GBfans sends me an extra red, so I have 1 extra to play with. So as long as this fits, we're good to go. There we go. So I did have to drill it out to 1/4, so I guess all of the holes are a little too small, which is fine. I'd rather be too tight than too large. You won't want things sliding through. And there we go. So I'm going to take everything out, start painting. Here's how the cake is looking. This turned out great. I am so happy with this. I can't wait to start weathering this a bit. These components turned out gorgeous. I am loving these. And I never got to mention earlier what I used. It was a Rust-Oleum sunlit brass. This is the only brass I was able to find. I found a ton of gold and metallics and things like that. This is the only brass, and of course I wanted to stay with brass because it is supposed to be brass. All right, so that's gonna go ahead and be the end of it for this video. I don't have everything put back together. I'm going to wait to install this all together at the same time. I still have to paint the pack. And then once everything is put together, then I'm gonna weather it all together. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this is the end of part 2, but I will see you guys in part 3. Thanks for sticking around, and I will see you next time in the containment unit. I just finished editing video part 2, and I realized I never gave you guys the Thingiverse. I'm gonna go ahead and put it right down here. Just so you know, this is going to be cake top, cake bottom, cooler,
And then I'll probably call these component 1 and component 2. Let's say 2 is the longer one. All right, thanks for tuning in.